off.
Oh, you're telling me. You're telling me. I want to know. Look at these decks. Who do you think is favored in this one?
Given that Reid said he was worried about facing Corey, I'll go with Reid's take that Corey is favored.
He's got quite like the nice opening start, right? He's got a turn on Ragavan. He's got a couple of ley lines that can deal with rings, amulets, titans. The more it goes through, but then looking at Corey's hand here, that's set up perfectly if you've got Ragavans and a lot of like enchantment based removal, as we can see that Beseiju in hand still, and more importantly, being on the play.
Yeah, being on the play is pretty large here, because otherwise it would be easier for Reid to develop into that ley line binding and all the good stuff. But this is really tough, like because do you play the Wild and the Cattle because it pushes through for damage naturally? Do you play the Ragavan with the plan to ley line binding this Arbor Grazer? Like Reid's position is pretty hard on the draw. Maybe might be a bit reassured with Corey's hand because Corey's hand had like that second Grazer is pretty blank, and the lack of a bounce land like a Simic Growth Chamber, really removes a lot of power from this hand. Because like if you're just playing your land straight up, our Boreal Grazer is much worse. I mean, we have this Dryad, but like it's just a 2/4.
Yeah, it doesn't do too much. We're kind of drawing the opposite half of a deck as we saw him draw before, where he was just drawing all land. Now he's drawing a lot of his interaction, and just because that Beseiju's on the battlefield doesn't mean that it's gone forever. Of course, as you said, the bounce lands are huge in this list, and just favoring to play Dryad, but that's got to give some information to Reid. Right, Reid now knows. Oh, you didn't play another land this turn.
Yeah,
even though you get the extra one.
This is great news for Reid here, right? Like when you know that like there's not another land coming, it's good. Yeah, so we see leyline binding. I get the thing is, right? Like in a position like this, Tribal Flames represents one of the few ways Reid has of reach damage and being able to deal. I mean, you never know. If you draw 2 lands, you can like deal 10 in 1 turn, and that might be really hard for Corey to play around.
Yeah, and we've got the one card, of course, 3/3. There's the bounce land off the top, and we're going to start with this Amulet, which means we will have our 4 mana this turn, be able to play the 1 ring, and can also have Beseiju back into our hand, which means we can get that dried back at a later point if we need to.
Yeah, that Celestia Sanctuary was like one of the best draws possible, right? Any of the bounce lands would have worked here. Yeah, we even see like copying the Amulet of Vigor. As a result, I don't know if you return the Beseiju. There is a pretty strong argument for returning this Selesnya Sanctuary because you will draw 1 card off the 1 ring, but Reid does have access to Leyline Bindings in the deck, even though 1 was used. You never know. Yeah, so I'm not too surprised to see the Selesnya Sanctuary come back. Like it's essentially your land drop against a Dark Ritual style effect. So yeah, draw right away, right? You don't want to. If you saw the match between me and Reid, right? Like Leyline Binding against the 1 ring, you don't want to like activate into Leyline Binding. I did on upkeep to try to at least take the mana, but like in this case, it's a lot easier if Reid's tapped out. So and that's where the play draw disparity really comes into play.
Yeah, it's pretty huge, but we do find the Black Source Swamp off the top due to with Overgrown Tomb, but we did see Corey pick up the Primeval Titan. I never feel like I'm smart enough to work this all out. Like the Titan math, it's easy when I've got a couple of amulets and Titan. Sure, I can do that bit, but firing off this now might end up costing them because double amulet plus bounce land plus Titan plus Motherboard Grazers. Like I think there's a lot of damage about to be incoming, but again, I've not had much reps to this deck purely because I don't think it's I've got a big enough brain.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the easier ones, right? Like the thing with Stubborn Denial is when there is that 2 of the premier modern decks or creature-based combo. You have Yawgmoth and Amulet Titan, so that's why you rarely see Stubborn Denial outside of Zoo. It's not what Modern's about really these days. Maybe it'll be again, and it's a good card to remember, but this isn't too hard to combo off. I'm not going to really describe too much. I'm pretty sure Corey's got this turn. There's nothing really Reid can do, and Titan is essentially here. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get 2 lands. I'm gonna suspect something like Boros Garnus in some way to get haste, and then you get 2 more lands, and you can start mirror pooling. Actually, you probably get mirror pool in this first one, and then you'd give haste, right? Because they untap twice.
Oh, we're going to get multiple Titans. I got you. Yeah, I keep thinking about the older version, as in only 1 setback where they used to go for the the Slayer Stronghold double strike kill. Now it's just getting multiple Titans in one turn and
Yeah.
go off. And we do see that is how Corey is going to win. It's Reid scooping it up. So I need to go to my sideboard. I need to give myself better odds of winning this matchup. And talk me through it. Is there anything actually in this sideboard worth bringing in?
So, you see the Bone Crusher Giant, which is like really interesting tech against the One Ring's protection. Prismatic Ending is like, it's very limited in what it gets, but the ability to get those Amulet of Vigors is sometimes really valuable. I agree 100% though with the board out. Like the last Scion, maybe you keep, maybe you don't, but 100% like Leyline Scion is not what this matchup's about. Now, with the Zoo version, you can still play it as a 4/4, probably on turn 3, rather than like just because of how you get your sequence your lands. So the question is, do you take out this last sign for another prismatic ending? I'm guessing that's a little bit of the consideration. Expressive iteration is more for the black matchups. On Corey's side, we see an Elish Norn come in, the lover of machines.
Yeah. That's just shuts the paralyzes his whole deck of it if it comes in. Right? Get double the amount of ETB triggers, and his decks, with Titan on the battlefield, it's probably just game from then. Same with Cultivated Colossus, etc. Moving forward, what do you think about the dismembers not coming in? Like, that's realistically our only way of removal, but it doesn't have to worry about something like a Magus to the Moon on the other side because it's face up. He just knows it's Ragavans, it's Kavus, etc.
The main creatures are mostly vanilla, so you don't really necessarily want something like that. You might as well focus on your plan. The only time it might be good is against something like Stubborn Denial, right? So that it avoids like becoming a straight up one mana negate. The Elish Norn is pretty good against any Leyline deck. It's actually surprising to see one and not two. That is a consideration I was wondering about. But yeah, no, when you look at this hand, right, you got the Ragavan, and the difference with being on the play is you get to bolt this Arboreal Grazer. And
they can't come down on one, remember, because that's the Surveil land that's
oh, sorry, I didn't look at the map. I didn't actually look at the lands. I was just like, yeah, this Arboreal Grazer did think for jokes aside, though, the pick your poison actually highlights something that came into play, that could have come into play in game 1 and didn't, but that's more important in game 2. Is Leyline Binding in this matchup, while you do need it, is much worse than something like Terminate, because the ability to get rid of it and get your Titan effect right away for a very cheap cost is something that's rough. Now, Leyline Binding against Amulet of Vigor works a little better, but like obviously it's not the best trade. So I think that's why Reid was saying this matchup's rough. I could see Reid winning this game given Corey's hand's a bit weird and weak. I mean, the 2/4 body is problematic actually on its own.
Yeah, no good answer to get that off the battlefield yet. And obviously Ragavan, normally quite good to steal something off the top of the deck. Also, the main part in this matchup is just ramping us, letting us cast multiple spells in one turn. And we might even see that as next, this turn we can go Wild Nakal, Lightning Bolt up, we can leave Stun with Denial up if we need to. We could even just go full. Can we get the full 10 to the face, 7 to 8 to the face this turn with Tribal Flames Lightning Bolt? No, I think that's a great idea, but
probably just going for Nakala. We can deal 8 to the face later.
So we just holding up something. I'll leave Lightning Bolt in case a Grazer comes down. I do like the something I've seen a lot when I'm playing Modern recently with these Surveil lands in the face of a Ragavan is I can just Surveil a land to the top of my deck. Something rubbish that I don't mind them hitting. Because Ragavan's a little bit less scary when they're also not stealing your cards, just generating these treasure tokens.
To be fair, Ragavan in against these like land combo decks more often than not is just like a 2/1 that ramps, like that gets you a treasure when it hits and not much else. There is actually a consideration on the Elish Norn. I wouldn't be surprised to see Corey have both on the play, but only one on the draw, because Ragavan hitting Elish Norn is actually particularly problematic for the Titan deck. If that did happen, Reid would be extremely favored.
Oh yeah. It's the mirror breaker, right? Like if you can get it down first, then you basically shut up your opponent's other deck. And we're getting aggressive here from Reid. Lightning Bolt to face, end of turn. As the one-off Draker that we know is left in is drawn. That will turn on Stub of the Nile if it does come down, though.
Might as well play it. It's not exactly like this. I mean, unless Corey's top of the deck is very generous.
Well, okay. How about the One Ring?
Let's see. Corey's at 10.
Corey is at
Um,
10.
so Reid doesn't know about the pick your poison, but you still have access to stubborn denial. Right now, while Mikhail and Rakivan are a one-turn clock if you consider tribal flames. Um, you could play the One Ring here. But I don't think it does anything for you. I think it's better off. You're better off just playing the Scion potentially, and just keeping up stubborn denial if Corey goes for Amulet and a crazy turn that ends in the One Ring. You have stubborn denial up for sure, no matter what.
That's got to be what's going through. He knows that potentially mana can be floated here. We go find an amulet. There could be a ring on the other side for Corey here, leaving up stubborn now that we can now catch that with the side Draco. And this stubborn mind might actually just. I suppose then we've got Beseiju. Beseiju can also deal with the Draco if needs to be, but then with that's not enough.
The Treble Flames is going to get the job done, right? The Sion's not the one the Sion is a distraction from the wider point of Rakivan and the cattle with some burn spells got the job done. Stubborn Denial would have been helpful, but it's not really what's going on here. Actually, before I go too far, we do have Dryad of the Elysian Grove.
And I say I'm pretty sure we can go Dryad plus Beseiju, or even pick your poison. That's enough to survive. Oh no, because pick your poison would it has to be Beseiju. Pick your poison and you get stubborn denied.
Yeah, Corey might be playing around stubborn denial here, but it makes sense to do this. I understand it. Now that's different because the Scion surviving means that now Reid wins the game as a result from, you go stubborn denial on pick your poison and then you tribal flames. Whereas, Beseiju from a Simic growth chamber trigger would have kept Corey in the game.
It would have been a massive heads up play though to do that, and I'm still not even sure if that would ever be the right line to do. But we're going to see everything get turned sideways. We're going to throw this in front of the Wild Nakao, take ourselves down to 4. So we're not dead to Lightning Bolt, but we will be dead to this Tribal Flames in hand and go into a game 3 momentarily.
Yep. Sometimes it's all you need: small creatures and burn spells. But being on the play was the fact that Reid is on the draw in game 3 is quite problematic.
Yeah, we saw the Ragavan kind of just get that early damage in, then the Wild Nakao chip in with it, and then just finish off with that whale of burn spells. So now play draw. We see the Echelon coming out now we're on the play.
But I don't know. Maybe it was a consideration to put the Echelon in, but it's true that it doesn't do a ton. It stops leyline binding specifically, but not that much else.
On Reid's side, we see another Draco coming into the main, and one of the Orcish Baumeister is being cut.
Yeah. Orcish, it's kind of weird, right? Like Prismatic Ending, Orcish Bowmasters, and Sign of Draco are all weakish cards in the matchup, and it's just a consideration of what mix of them do you want. Like they're all okay if you have one copy, but they're pretty bad in multiples. So it makes sense that Reid was kind of putting a little bit of each.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to game number 3. Remember, the winner of this, well, they've got one more chance to find themselves into the top 8. The loser, though, well, that's it. They're gone. They're out of MTGO Masters Season 1. Kai, remember, is our defending champion, but is up against none other than Reid Duke. It's not a knife edge. I think this play draw might be the decider here, but then look at these hands. They're not great from either player.
Yeah, so if Reid keeps that hand, you're kind of just accepting fate, basically. You have interaction for exactly Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and technically Bowmasters punishes the One Ring, but not really at this point. Corey already was on a mulligan to 6. Corey kind of does need a bounce line, though. Otherwise, this is going to be a real problem. Leyline binding off the top for Reid is kind of huge, actually. Gives it out to allows you to take the One Ring, allows you to take that Amulet of Vigor. So that's actually really nice.
We're going to start off just Wild Nakao on the other side. Remember this? I'm pretty sure you were still playing when this was banned in Modern, right?
Oh, I played it in early Modern too. I played it with Punishing Fire. That was insane back then. Like it was like Wild Nakao, Punishing Fire, and back then nobody had anything good. So it was very good.
When was it unbanned?
I can't remember. I think it was like 16, 17, something like that. Like it didn't see play for a long time. Yeah, like even when Silent, it took Leyline of the Gil pack for it to really come back.
That in itself is a mental statement to say out loud. Leyline managed to get it back into be a more modern playable card. But now, how do we progress here? Mana's a little bit awkward here for Reid. Can go fetch up a red source here, potentially just play a Kavu. I suppose if we get a Sacred Foundry, we can then also swing in for 3 points of damage here.
Well, I'm pretty sure Sacred Foundry will be taken. It's like that land gives you all the options, makes the cattle a free sacred getting Sacred Foundry is the one clear part about this turn.
Would that be the case if there wasn't Breeding Pool in hand though?
I think so. There's no blue card in hand, so you would just go for it.
I actually really like this, taking the construct out while it's small, while we can, not losing to that sort of constructs getting too big, and us not being able to fight through them.
Oh, that was huge. The fact that Corey missed out here, I think we're going to see an expedition map. Actually, I don't think we're going to see Amulet of Vigor from this Urza Saga. You could go with Amulet of Vigor, but like if Reid has prismatic Leyline Binding or prismatic ending, you just give up on this game. So that's why I think you see, 2 mana floating here. I think we're going to see Expedition Map for a bounce land.
Also, no colored mana either here for Corey just yet.
That's good. Corey's getting it fixed, taking a bit of time, but that problem will fix itself.
This might be the stumble that Reid needs, right? Like, realistically, his hand's kind of panning together for him.
Yeah, it's pretty slow, and the fact that there's not an untapped land for this The One Ring, like each turn is a lot. So let's see here. You kind of want to you got domain, so you probably want to keep your Leyline Binding, which means I wouldn't be surprised to see Nishoba Brawler and pass with Leyline Binding up. That to me would be the most efficient use of mana, and it threatens lethal next turn, I believe, depending on how the blocks occur because of Tribal Flames.
Like Reid agrees with you. Summoners packed off the top. Not what Corey needs here at all, but can get protection from the One Ring for a turn.
Yeah, because the Crumbling Vestige, the Vesuva and the Vestige gives you the mana, so this allows this. So you get protection, and then there's the next One Ring, and you see here Corey not activating it because there's Sacred Foundry up. Likely will activate it end of turn or during upkeep. Here we go, upkeep, but then it's not like Reid has that much, and the One Ring is problematic. You saw that Corey's hand was pretty slow. You could consider leaving it, but I think that's quite risky. You have Orcus Bowmasters, though, to punish like drawing 2 cards. So it's actually pretty close. But I kind of like this. Just cards.
The fact that I know without drawing my land for the turn, or my card for the turn, I know I've still got 2 plays and I'm picking them off, but then pick the poison off the top is a bit of a punish, but is what it is. We can still deploy another 5 power onto the battlefield. Of course, no attacks because One Ring protection is still going. Kind of ironic that the One Ring is never played as of 1. There's always more than 1 copy in decks. Yeah. As we see the second one come down here, Orcus Bowmaster is going to get a little ping, and we do find a Beseiju, so we do have another land for the turn.
Yeah, does it right away, even though it grows the Bowmaster, just because like we gotta get those lands. A bounce land would have been ideal here, but take what you can get. So.
Oh! How does that pan out? Okay.
Let's check. So yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, maths is for blockers. I definitely didn't draw it, Corey.
If you say the Nicatls block, which is the same as the Tramplers, Corey goes to exactly 1. So you don't pick your poison. You just Bone Crusher Giant, whatever. You're 5 free yourself. Whatever matters.
Yeah.
And then Corey's 1 and the One Ring will deal the last point. So
what a top deck by Reid Duke. A 1-of in the deck out the side.
Okay. This is completely over like now because the 2/2 got blocked. So.
Oh yeah, it just
doesn't matter. Like Corey could have blocked the free. It doesn't change anything. I think Corey went for that. Yeah.
Oh, just stomp my own face. Damage comes across. Corey drops out. That means our defending champion is out, ladies and gentlemen. That is you got to play the cards to draw the cards, and let's be honest, it's Reid Duke. He's always going to have the cards, right? That was an absolutely insane top deck for him. So That means he's going to be battling up against Cedric to see who manages to join yourself in that top 8. Pretty crazy. What do you think? How do you think that one lines up? So we got the Rakdos versus the Zoo list.